Everyone, welcome to another home studio show and tell. Tonight is a super night. I am super excited because two friends of mine are both showing off their studios. Two amazing voice actors, two great guys, two international guys for us in the States. I'd like to introduce both of them to you. Of course, as always, we'll take a tour of their studios and you'll have lots of opportunity to ask questions. These two guys are special, and you should know it is very late for them. It is now, Ramesh, it is midnight for you, or just past midnight.
That's right.
Bernard, it is just past 1 a.m. for you. So
That's
we have
correct.
lots of thanks for you joining us. This is definitely a push. If you guys zone off or drop off, we totally understand. So let me introduce Bernard Schaer first, because he is even an hour later for you. Bernard, you're in Germany. We have known each other for quite some time. You said recently, was it 2012 or something we first met?
No, we met in Ventura for FEFCON, but we also had met. Well, you and I met 2003 or four
Oh my goodness.
at the Edge Studio. That's
20
where
years ago.
yeah
21 years ago.
my very first lessons I took from you guys. You guys, and yeah, and I don't know how I found you. I don't recall, but you and a gentleman by the name of Charles Michael, also in New York. That's the two people that I started out with. So yeah, we know each other or know of each other for about 20 years. That's
Wow,
true.
that is a long time.
It is.
I met you then only a few years after my wife. Oh my goodness. Crazy.
And we
And
reconnected. I still fondly remember our ride back to the airport from Ventura
yeah,
because
absolutely.
somehow we got to talk, and there was only one or two other people on the bus, and so yeah, yeah, and yeah, for that and for the 2003 to 2004, I don't remember exactly. I remember you fondly.
Wow. It's amazing to go back that long. And it's
Yeah,
great that we're still in this industry. How cool is that?
yeah.
So, counter to Bernard in Germany, we have Ramesh in Spain in the Canary Islands. Ramesh Mahtani, it is great to see you. We met much more recently than 2003.
That's
Maybe
right.
what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
I think we first met at a VO Atlanta, perhaps, and I attended one of your sessions, and I was duly impressed. You blew me away, and I wanted to cram myself in that room, which was full of people just eagerly holding on to every single word you were saying. And you were dropping nuggets left, right, and center on auditioning and voice modulation. And I thought, man, this guy's the bee's knees. And then we had a chance to meet again at a WovoCon a few
Mhm.
years back in Orlando. That's right.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
had a great one-on-one session. And apart from being a super duper professional, you're a great guy. So we just had a great
Mm.
conversation and got along really well. And like Bernard said, I have very, very fond feelings for you as a professional, as a voiceover colleague, and a member of the industry. So I'm happy.
All
That's,
around nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
but
So
guys,
that's enough though.
That's enough.
isn't
That's
that
enough.
normal for this industry? Right? There are a lot of nice people in this industry. It
Mm,
shocks
Yeah.
me when we go to
mm,
conferences, and all three of us do go to a lot of conferences, and we attend video conference webinars and stuff. There are a lot of very nice people. I feel like the
Absolutely.
percentage of nice people is far greater than the percentage of nice people in other industries. So at least I'd like to
I
think
would
so.
agree with you. I would
mm,
wholeheartedly agree with you.
absolutely.
And it should be the norm. But every once in a while, and perhaps more often, you meet people who perhaps have a certain standing and position in the industry. And, their head tends to sort of get really very, very large and it becomes quite unpalatable. So when you meet nice people, I cherish that, and I don't
Mm,
take it for granted.
mm.
I don't know
Yeah,
what fame or
exactly.
importance or success does to people, but it does tend to make their heads and egos very, very large.
There's a very funny story. We are our New York studios are in Times Square, and we very often record Broadway actors. And this is so Ramesh, this story is for you. We have one of the most, easygoing engineers you could possibly imagine. This guy, Kevin, he's been at our studio now for 10 or 11 years. He's our lead engineer. He can deal with the egos, he can deal with whatever comes in. There was one session where he walked out because of ego. He walked out of a session, clients there and everything. He walked into the
Mm.
lobby where I was and some other people, and he said, "I'm done. I need a break." There was a 9-year-old or 10-year-old kid recording. Now, this kid is the star of The Lion King. He's grown up
Oh,
on stage. He gives his 2 performances every day. In between, he comes over, he was recording some voiceover. Evidently, he was doing a session through back then, it was either Source Connect or even, oh, I forget what do we call it before Source Connect? Oh my goodness. We had the old
ISDN?
codecs, ISDN. Yeah, oh
Oh,
my
the
goodness,
cool,
it's
yeah,
so far.
ICN, yeah.
This could have been through ISDN even, back in, when we had that. Clients on the line. Evidently, the kid reads, the clients say, "Okay, we want you to try it again just a little bit more slowly," and the kid says, "No, it was fine the way I narrated it. Let's move on." And that's when Kevin says, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done."
How old was that kid?
He was, like 9 or 10. He was a young kid,
Oh
but
my
I mean,
I
he
can
God.
grew
believe it.
I get it, like, he grew up on stage, and
Yeah.
so every day he's,
Yeah.
crowds are bowing to him, giving him
Right.
standing ovations, and
Right.
how can that
It
not get
does
to your
things to
head? It
you.
would be hard
Oh,
not to
of
get to
course.
his head.
Exactly. Yeah. And at that
So,
age, so
yeah, I
impressionable.
mean, when
Yeah.
he's so formidable at that age, that's the impression he's growing up with anyway. Well, it's great to
But
have you
you
guys.
know about the among colleagues in our industry and how nice everybody is mostly. I think I tell my German fellow VOs that quite often whenever it comes up. I think it has to do with we're all different. I don't sound like Ramesh or whoever else. Uh, we're not as much in a competition as maybe some other trades.
That is a good point. Definitely a good point. So, which could very likely explain why you come to a conference and everyone helps everyone, which is amazing.
Mm, yeah,
So,
exactly.
so to the point of this show, it's an amazing opportunity for me and other people to see inside someone else's studio. I was talking with someone a couple of days ago, talking about the show. They had never seen this particular show. And I said they didn't quite get what it was like. And I said, imagine you went to a friend's house. Or sorry, you imagine you went to someone's house you didn't know. That's the example I gave. You go to
Mm,
someone's house for a party, it's someone you don't know. And while you're at this party, someone says, "By the way, the person who lives here has a voiceover studio in the basement." You'd say, "Wow, could I see it?" And that's what the
mm,
show is. You get to
mm,
see, we, the viewers, get to see other people's studios. It's so cool.
mm.
And because
Yes.
it's interactive, we get to ask questions. One of the things that we do, and we get lots of great questions from the people who are on Zoom asking you guys, showing off your studio. I'd like to actually encourage you guys to ask questions that you may have. It doesn't happen all that often, but if you have questions, for example, if
Right,
you say, "Hey, I have been looking for a seat that's more quiet or a
Right.
microphone stand that would fit into this space, or does anyone know of a bass trap that would actually fit here or how I could do something?"
Right.
Please feel welcome
mm,
to ask your questions
mm.
as well. Let's make
Okay.
this a
Yeah,
bit more
okay,
interactive, both directions.
Absolutely.
okay,
Okay, it's
Good
cool.
idea.
So we're going to start with Bernard's studio. Bernard,
okay.
you are set up to show off your studio. You have 2 studios, right? In 2 different locations, right?
Well, I'm reluctant to call it a studio, but I guess it is. Yeah, I do have a basement studio that is about six something by 5 feet or something like that in a basement here, and we rented this house, and it just is perfect to have a studio in the basement. I don't hear much down here, but uh, that's definitely the advantage. The other one is a Studio Bricks booth that I have in my apartment in Mallorca. So I've got one of the bedrooms with a booth in it and a desk, and so where I do my editing and so forth. So, I mean, Ramesh, I see him sitting in he looks like a Studio Bricks, and they're perfect. They're fantastic compared to pretty much any other booth. I used to have a whisper room, and these things are perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. My first question, Bernard, before we even look at your studio, because you split your time between 2 different studios, how do you ensure that your sound quality is consistent from studio to studio? I imagine there must be times that you're in one studio and you have a pickup for a recording perhaps that was recorded at your other location. How do you make sure that
Yeah,
the sound
yeah,
quality is
it
consistent?
has. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. I tell the client this is, when they say, "Well, we've got a pickup for you to do," I say, "Okay, uh, no problem, but you may have to fiddle with it a little bit. Your engineer may have to fiddle with it to make it come together. And I don't sound today the same as I did yesterday. So you can't really expect me to. I do the best I can when I do a pickup. That's the short answer, But the mics that I use whenever I go back to Mallorca or go back and forth, I take them with me because, they are not that cheap. So I just pack them and go. And everything else that's here, I've got everything full with bass traps um, that you will see in a moment. Um, this one sounds different than a Studio Bricks, but it's perfect. Works for me.
So let's see. Bernard, let's see your studio.
Okay, all right. Yeah, like I said, I I liked the idea of that when you came up with that, but I don't consider it much of a thing here. But anyway, I'm going to switch cameras, so you should
Yeah,
be able
eh,
to see.
and then
That's
let
the
me
thing you can
sorry,
do. You can just switch cameras. Go ahead.
Bernard, I want to throw something in. You've said twice, you don't really consider it much of studio.
Well,
That's
it's
one of the
too,
greatest
yeah,
things about seeing different people's recording areas, if we call it that, because you don't have to have a super fancy recording area to have
that's
terrific
true.
sound.
Yeah.
The sound, the quality sound comes from, of course, how you use your microphone and right, and having a microphone that works for your voice. It doesn't even have to be an expensive microphone. It just has to work for your voice, and knowing
Mm,
how to work the microphone, so to speak. Really, most of the sound quality comes from the sound of the room, right? If
mm,
as long as your room doesn't have echo in it, for
absolutely.
example, that's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
So people who are recording it in closets
Mm,
sometimes have the best sound quality I've ever heard because the
yeah.
closet is full of clothing and sweaters and blankets and pillows, and it's my goodness, it sounds great.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
it's the ugliest
I
looking
I say
studio, but
this.
it sounds great.
That's true. I say that because, in Mallorca, I'm sure neither one of you knows, Willie Meyer. He's got a huge studio in on the island, and when I go there, with our friends, and he's got this, bank of knobs and shifters and whatnot. That's a studio. It's like 4 feet long, 4 meters long. So it's just knobs and sliders and what have you. So, but yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I mean, the sound that I produce in here depends very much on what's around me and the mics and how I handle the mics. So anyway, with that, you want to see it?
Yes.
So, uh, what I did here with this space when I rented the place, the house, in beginning of 22, I had GIK, which is not unknown in the US either, basically tell me what I need to do. And I bought these bass traps. I think you can see them.
Hmm.
I bought these bass traps and I've got them all around me.
Bernard, when you say bass traps, are you talking about the black traps along the ceiling, or do you mean the wall panels?
No, no, these wall panels here.
Okay.
Yeah, these are bass traps. They are about 10 centimeters thick, rock wool, and they were made in by GIK in Poland. They have a facility there in Poland, and I just put them up and worked great. They had great advice for me as to how to do this and what I would need. And as you can see, some people that ask me about, what do I do to have a good sound in my studio, they they intend to basically slam everything with some kind of foam or whatever. And I didn't do this because the important thing really to me, and according to those who know better than I do, is that you leave space so that you don't have like a totally dead room, but you have some degree of space here, wall space, to give the room some degree of liveliness
Mhm.
without without reflection. And that's basically what I did here.
Tell us, is there a difference between the red panels and the gray, or is that just
No, it's
aesthetics?
just for yeah, it's just for aesthetics. Yeah, the
Okay.
red ones and the gray ones, it's both the same. And so I wanted the red ones in front and back, and the gray ones on the side, so it doesn't look all the same. You know.
What about your floors and ceiling, Bernard?
Okay, with the ceiling, I've got GIK ceiling panels. They are about half as thick as the base traps,
Are they
and they are
suspended or
important. Those
are they against the ceiling or suspended?
they're slightly suspended.
Okay.
There are these cleats. I forget French cleats that hold them. So you've got about this much. Where am I? This much space between the panel and the ceiling.
Okay, great.
Okay, and you do need um, ceiling panels. You know, some kind of ceiling panels. The ceiling will do you in if you don't. So and then up there, there's a pipe running across that I had to somehow do something with, and those are you know, it's one moving blanket that I kind of wrapped around. It's kind of makeshift situation, but that's what I did.
Okay.
One
That's
thing
what looked
left
like
to
the
do
bass
is
trap at
that
first to me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. When you first mentioned bass traps, I wasn't sure if you were talking about that blanket up along covering the pipe. Now I
No,
understand. That's
no.
great. So what about
No,
your floor?
I was advised that for my deep voice, I should just go with bass traps rather than, you know, the smaller or the 2 inch or whatever, because I mean that's for a lady's voice, soprano, alto, whatever. That's good, but if you have a deep voice, you need something thicker than that, and so I went with these bass traps. That's what they call them, bass traps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bernard, what is on your floor?
Cork, actually. That's a click. I forget what they're called. These panels that you click together, and so I laid cork on the floor. Doesn't look great down there, but that's what it is.
Well, I've known quite a few studios now who are using cork, either
Yeah, it's
behind the
pretty good.
wall, behind the
Yeah.
foam on the walls, or behind their
Mm,
panels. Yeah,
yeah.
it's because it's more porous. It's a
And I
great
have
idea.
on the desk I have felt, you know.
Great.
So yeah, it works good for me. It works.
That is, I'll throw this out for people who are new to the industry. A lot of newcomers to the industry do get reflection off of their desk surface,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you have a very hard surface like glass or I don't know, porcelain or something, whatever, like a plasticky top desk.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a lot of sort of bounce from your voice on that. So laying a towel down or felt, as Bernard did, is a great idea.
Mhm. Yeah, felt works good in so far as you still got to be able to roll your mouse, you know. In Mallorca, I have what's it called, a touchpad, so that's a good option too. But here I have a mouse, and if I didn't have this fairly thin felt, I couldn't, you know, it would just the mouse would die on the if you would use a piece of carpet or something thick, it wouldn't work.
Oh, well, you could put a mouse pad over the carpet or whatever
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have.
of course you could do that, and I've done that too. But then you have another slick surface,
Hmm,
and I didn't want to have any slick surface, you know. So
got it.
that's why. The
So can
only
you show
thing
us
that
your?
I'm
Oh, sorry.
the only thing that I'm always a little bit concerned about is the two monitors that I have. I have two 27-inch monitors, and of course, at least I think that you know they have give some kind of reflection to the mics, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. They're tilted so that I think it's not too bad. And you know, when I bring down my TLM 103, then it's fairly far away from the monitors anyway. So
Bernard, can you
I
step
use,
back? Sorry. Can you step back so we can see your monitors? We did see them a bit earlier, but
yeah,
while
sure.
you're talking about them, it'd be great if we could see. I will say that I've known a few studio owners. In fact, Bernard, I spoke with a guy in Germany yesterday, a voice actor, a great voice actor in Germany just yesterday. He
Mm,
has two monitors, and they're both the curved monitors. And I
mm-hmm.
don't know. I didn't ask him if he's found a difference. He's an audiophile, by the way. I should say he's really into very high end audio.
What's his name?
So
Will you tell me?
yeah, I don't know if I should say it out loud. Michael is his
Oh, okay,
first name.
okay. Yeah, drop it to me.
I can introduce you guys.
Okay,
I just introduced him to Bodalgo also.
okay.
So he has the
So
two
yes, that's
monitors, which are
what I have here. One of them can be the one on the right. If I record standing up, I could move it and swing it up. But most of the time, at least here in Germany, I record sitting down, whereas in Mallorca, I stand up.
okay.
Yeah.
There is a
And there's
company
my
that makes
camera
a
in between in case somebody wants to know, how I do the zooms. I've got a Sony A6300, and that's my go-to camera. Works well.
two things, Bernard. One, or for everyone, there's a company, and I don't know the name offhand. They make a translucent screen cover that
Huh.
theoretically cuts down on the bounce back of sound.
Mm.
It's very much like a screen door. It's a it's a some type of plastic surface. I assume it's plastic, but it's full of micro holes,
Uh-huh.
thousands or millions of tiny holes. It's rather expensive, but the screen you can put over windows or over monitors, and
Mm.
it's supposed to stop the bounce. So,
Yeah,
but if
I
you don't
could
have a
see that.
problem, then of
Mm.
course you don't need it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the mics you use? You mentioned the 103. Tell us
Yeah,
what
sure.
software you
I've
use and
got
so on.
for most of my jobs, I use the TLM 103. Where is it? There. Okay. And and for Zoom sessions and some work, I use this one here. It's the Sennheiser MKH 8060, the successor of the famous 416. This
Mhm.
one sounds better as far as my voice is concerned. That's where we're listening to me on right now.
And what about remote directed work? Do you have Source Connect,
Now I've got Source
IPTL?
Connect standard, yeah. But it seems like, I don't know, Ramesh, you have it too, and it seems to me that most of my remote work now, they send me a link, and I go with that, like Session Link Pro or Source Connect.
Clean
Now I
feed.
guess they don't have that anymore, but I do get a link, and off we go. So
Mm.
that's, just recently, about 2 weeks ago, I think, a French client came to me and said, "Oh, I see you have Source Connect standard. We do too. Let's use it." So, but that's the first time I think, in this entire year so far.
Hmm.
Mostly I get a link and we're good.
What software are you using?
For recording, I
Mhm.
use Twisted Wave. Yeah, Twisted Wave, which is, I can just do my magic here. Hold on a second. Which is right there. And that works great. I started out 2003 4. I bought Pro Tools, and it came with this huge uh, equipment that you needed to buy back then. And I found it, you know, it had a huge learning curve, at least as far as I was concerned. And also, let me switch away from this camera here. So unless you want to see anything else, so okay. Um, and then I think maybe whenever Twisted Wave came out, that must have been like maybe 2007 or six or somewhere. So one of my American fellow VOs said, try this, and it's simple, it's easy, it doesn't have more than one track, but I'm just a voiceover. Right? People say, well, why don't you use something that has more tracks? What for? So I don't do any mixing. I don't do any music. I don't do stereo. I don't know. I do what a voiceover actor is supposed to do: talk,
Hmm.
do recordings, and that's all I do. And I've got a fantastic audio engineer currently that I can send stuff to if I need to. But most of the time, my clients, they go like, "Yeah, send me the raw, and we'll do whatever we need to do with it." Because I am of the opinion also that if I shine it up myself, I have a stack from George Whittam, two stacks actually per microphone. I have a stack that I can put on it, and sometimes I do, but most of the time I leave the audio raw and send it to the client, and then they do whatever they need to do with it. If I mess it up beforehand, then they get mad at me.
I'm going to ask you the question that has become standard in these shows. Tell me about ventilation. Do you have some type of air conditioning?
No, down here in the basement, I don't need it. I'm good. And when I'm done, I open the door. There's a window behind one of these traps here, but I don't open it normally. There's no screen there, and so I don't open it. I would have to take the base trap down. I don't want to do that. So I just open the door and open the window on one of the other basement rooms, and that works for me. In my studio breaks in Mallorca, I have this totally quiet ventilation thing. Ramesh, you probably have it too, right? Yeah, it works fantastic. I mean, I don't know if whenever I have to do work in Mallorca and it's getting pretty hot, June, July, I can do about 10 minutes, 15 minutes at most, and then despite of the ventilation, I have to get out and take a break because it works really well. But, if everything around you, and I can't run the AC while I'm recording in the studio bricks, um, everything else around me is hot. So all it does is blow hot air in my booth.
Hmm.
Ramesh, you
Can I
probably
ask
had
you?
that same
Can I
problem
ask you?
yeah,
Yeah, one question. In your studio breaks, do you keep your interface inside the booth or outside?
outside, but I have now purchased a different Focusrite that's called iTrack Solo, and I bought a MacBook Air. So now next time when I go back on the 10th of September, I will take my MacBook and I will take the Solo, and so I can do everything. And I've got another monitor now, so I can do everything and see everything. Because at this point, up to now, I would have to set everything up outside, and I'm sure other fellow VOs have that same setup, and then set myself up, level and metering and so forth, and then I go in and I record. It works, and it has worked for quite some time because I know what I need to do. But it's much more convenient if you have everything um, in the booth.
Yeah. I would say through all of the shows we've had, about half of voice actors have their system in the booth with them, and
Hmm.
half have it outside.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard
There's
compelling
nothing
reasons
wrong
for
with
both.
having it outside.
Yeah. Bernard, it is so much fun to see your studio. It's great. I've spoken with you when you're in that studio so many times. It's
Mm.
great to have eyes on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
The,
yeah,
the red and
yeah.
the
And
gray look
I think
great.
it sounds pretty good. So
It sounds great. I've heard your
I'm
stuff.
happy
You
with
sound
it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you read so well. You're right. Your work is so good, and between your
Thank you.
voice, the way you voice, and the audio quality, it's perfect. Which is why you're doing this 2 decades
Oh,
later.
absolute. Yeah, yeah. I
It's
love doing it. So yeah, and that you just
Bernard.
asked about. Um, I even have my Mac Mini M1 right in front of me here, and you don't hear a thing. It probably supposedly has a fan. I don't hear it. So, and I have never had any complaints from my clients. So I'm good. You know.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much.
Oh, of
It's great to
course.
see you. Great to see your studio. Knowing that it's now 1:41
What is it?
a.m.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
almost two
goodness.
o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, you've hung in
Yeah,
there. Thank you so much. And
of course.
when we switch over to Ramesh
Yeah,
and
I'm
check out
gonna stay
his,
around for a little bit anyway. I want to hear what Ramesh has to say.
well, we have 19 minutes. Let's do it, Ramesh. Let's see your studio. It's always great to hear your voice, and just
Well,
just
thank
like
you.
Bernard. I mean, you also have such great quality and such a great read. I've heard your work many times also, and I'm super anxious and excited to see your studio.
Yeah, well, when we actually did, we recorded a demo not too long ago. We did that from my previous studio, which was a home studio. In fact, it was part of my bedroom, and my wife was never too happy about that because, once in a while I had to bring people in to record, and like, yeah, come into my bedroom, please. And she's like, can we not find another solution? So earlier this year, I went the whole hog and got this One Plus studio brick. So it's, if anybody's not familiar with the studio bricks, you have the small standard one, which is your Studio Bricks One, I believe, and then you have the One Plus, which is slightly bigger, so you have a bit more depth in the back here, and it just makes it a bit more comfortable to work in. So I'll just give you a little tour from I've in fact using my iPhone's camera, so I'll just take it out and
Yeah,
start
wait,
from the outside.
Ramesh, just a question about your booth. One plus, how
Yeah.
many your booth? How many wall design is it? One wall, two, or three?
So you've got here's the door. So you've got this wall over here, and then the front wall, which is there, the side wall here, and then this is the back wall.
I think David
Yeah,
meant
how many layers?
how many layers. Yeah, the
Oh,
one
how
is
many?
double.
Yeah, this is the one is double. So
I
I'm sorry,
think so.
I don't think I understand your question. How many layers? How thick it is? You mean?
When you purchase studio brick booths, you can
Yeah.
purchase different thicknesses of the outer wall. One, I think
Right.
I think they come with a single wall, a double, and a triple.
I think this. Oh gosh, that's a good question. I don't even really know, to be
No,
honest. I can look it up,
Ramesh, I
but
think the one
that's
I
okay.
have the one too. I have the normal size. I think they are just double walled.
double
Okay.
walled.
Uh,
Yeah.
and the bigger ones, the other ones may be triple walled. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, but
Okay.
it's a good question. I'll look into the invoice and see
Yeah.
what it is. So yeah, so if you want to just have, this is my editing sort of suite. So I have this lovely stand-up desk which I got from IKEA, and sort of actually it's permanently always there.
Ramesh, we can't hear you when you're far from the
Oh,
mic. Is there something you can
sorry.
change?
Right, sorry. So I was actually going out. You can hear me now?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
So this is my editing station, which is outside here with my monitors and my speakers and whatever. So I do my editing outside, and then this is inside my booth. So I have basically a MacBook Air that I use and my TLM 103 when I sit down and work. And then when I stand up, I use my Sennheiser 416 here, and I read off the iPad. So I can switch between the two.
Well,
I like to stand and read, but sometimes I just sit down and do it from over here. So I have the comfort of choosing both.
Let
Now
me
the
I want
what
to wait, I need to interject a couple of things.
yeah.
One, can you move the camera just a little more slowly?
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it'll be
sorry
easier
about
for
that.
us because yeah,
Yeah.
we want to see it. Like you're going fast.
Right.
The
Sorry
next
about that.
question, and it's fine. The with the microphones, are
Yeah.
you saying that you would only use your shotgun when you're standing and only
Y-
use the large diaphragm when you're sitting?
That's right. That's right. It's just the way I have them set up, really. So if I want to stand up, I'll sort of go up here. And this is a stand-up distance, so it's about I'm 6'3". I'm pretty tall, so this is set for my sort of distance from my mouth, and I'll just read off the iPad. So I'll be recording from here and reading off here. So if I sit down on this nice little stool, which is here, I'll be using the TLM 103 to record, and I'll be reading off my MacBook Air. So this is a relatively new setup, and I've been tooling around a lot with it. Not sure exactly what the setup is. I didn't realize the heat that is produced inside a studio. I mean, as I said before, I was doing it in an extension in my bedroom. It was a bigger space. So there was a bit more atmosphere. Here, it can get a little bit dark and congested. And as Bernard says, we have a nice little aero pack, what they call this is the ventilator. And it brings in the fresh air from outside. And you can set it at different levels. And at this level, which is sort of medium, it does bring in a fair bit of fresh air into the booth, which makes it very comfortable to be in. But as Bernard said, after, I mean, I can be in here for about 45 minutes with this
Wow.
at a level where it's imperceptible on the microphone. It's very, very quiet, and it basically circulates clean air, brings in clean air from outside, and it ejects the stale air from up there in the roof. There's a little unit that it sort of ejects the air out of.
Where
I have a
is
little
the
fan that I just bought. This is an air purifier from Rowenta. It was quite an expensive little unit. I just bought that. So when I'm in between recordings, I open the door because the door closes like this. And once you do that, you're sort of minus 45 dB. I mean, this cuts out. This is soundproofing. It's not only acoustic conditioning, but when you close this door, you're cutting off minus 45 dB from the outside. So it's really quiet. So my noise level goes down to about minus 65 dB.
Oh,
It's that
great.
quiet. Yeah, it's super quiet. I mean, people can be having a conversation outside and I won't even be hearing them. But, now we're in a pretty isolated chamber. So when in between sessions, I open this guy up and then the fan is on outside. So it sort of cools in this sort of space in here. And that's important. I could bring this fan in the back of my studio and leave it on the floor. That's also possible. But for the moment, this chap lives outside.
Have you treated the acoustics at all on the inside of the booth?
Now, that's a good question. I was in a session with George Whittam, and he seemed to think that it did need some. He said, I said, but I've got a Studio Bricks. It's brand new. It's supposedly they have an acoustician that works with them, and they've tweaked this space to be just right. He seemed to think that it still needed more tweaking. I haven't tweaked it, and to be absolutely honest, my clients absolutely adore the sound. Whether I record from up there or down here, they say it's perfectly fine. There might be a slight element of boxiness, but I mean, that's very, very easy to tweak by any sort of audio engineer.
What
My main issue
you might like to do, Ramesh, that's what George told me with my booth when I bought it 2016. Do one of those simple egg crate thingies on your glass door because you get that reflection of the glass.
the what thing on the glass door? The air crate, did you say?
Yeah, these these typical foam egg crate thingies.
Okay. Okay. Or put up a panel like you have, one of those panels hanging on the door, you mean?
Well, no, that I'll show you. One of those. Oops, one of those things. Can you see it?
Oh, I see. Like those, yeah, one of those anechoic
Yeah.
panels.
Yeah. Get one
Okay.
of those, and that'll do the trick.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but then
Yeah.
you have the problem of losing the transparency. It's so nice to have a glass door. Our studio in New York, we have glass doors and windows, and everyone said you're crazy to do that in a studio. But for us, it was really for me building the studio back in 2013, I think. No, 2010. I wanted open light. I wanted natural light, and it took extra work, but it can be done. So, um, Ramesh, what I mentioned to Bernard earlier about his monitors, you can look into this product
Yeah.
that is this kind of plasticky thing that you put up over your glass, and you won't even see it. But it's just like I said, a screen door, and it stops maybe half of the bounce back.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
So
written it down.
if you have just a
Translucent
little
screen
bit
cover.
of boxiness, maybe that would be sufficient.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started with having my interface. I have an Apollo. So I'll just quickly show you what my interface outside. So I have this little station over here. So I've got my Apollo, my UPS over here, and I had that Apollo inside my studio over here, but it generated a lot of heat. That baby gets hot. And
Mm.
when we were in a session with George and Dan Leonard, they said, "Oh, don't switch it off. No, no, no. You're better not switching off your equipment. Leave it on all the time. I don't even switch off the Phantom, but that machine on 24/7. It makes a couple of degrees difference inside the booth. So I thought either I
Yeah.
switch it off and switch it on all the time, or I just leave the guy outside. So I leave him outside, and I have the console, which is a software program that comes with the Apollo, and you can switch on the Phantom, you can increase the gain, lower the gain, put up the volume on your monitors, etc. The only thing you can't do, which is annoying, is increase the volume on your headphones, which I don't actually really use. I never use
Mm.
headphones anymore. I mean, I have a set. My biodynamics are over here hanging up, just as decoration. What I use when I'm on a session with the client, and this is wonderful, are these um, aftershocks. So they're bone conduction headsets, and you get the
Yeah,
sound of
really.
whoever is giving you direction coming through your bones, and your ears are open, so you can hear yourself in the most natural way. Because I don't want to have my ears closed up when I'm
Yeah, I
recording.
don't like
I
that
just want to
either.
hear my own voice, and these are perfect. So I'm hearing you guys through these. I'm hearing the client through this, and I don't need the headsets, but you can't adjust the headset volume on the Apollo console, which is annoying. But anyway, but I just put my hand outside and put it up or down if I do need to use the headsets. But I have my monitors outside, which I use to edit my audio. So I listen to it's great. I open the door, listen, I record a little bit, listen to it from outside. Sounds good. Shut the door and continue recording. So it does the trick. And by
Yeah.
now my ears are good enough that if I hear my monitors and it plays back what I record, and it's good, it's good. It's good. There's no two ways about it.
When you edit, are you also on speakers or on headphones?
Speakers. I rarely use the biodynamics. I only use the monitors, and I play it back, and I know it just sounds the way it
Mm,
needs to
I
sound.
do that
I
too.
very, very rarely use headphones anymore. I mean, I have them in unless a client says I hear something, or a friend of mine says, "Can you listen to this audio for me and tell me the difference between A and B?" And then I'll put my headsets on and really focus. But I think the studio monitors are fantastic. They do the trick.
Which monitors do you
What's the brand you're using,
They're just
Ramesh?
they're just simple Yamaha H7s, I think, or something. They're
Okay,
not
so
no, they're not
near
Genelec
field
near
monitors.
field monitor. Yeah, near field
Yeah,
monitors.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and they're
use the
great.
Prisonos, and they're very good too.
Yeah,
About
yeah, yeah.
150 or so pair, or no, that couldn't be. But
No,
yeah, they
these
were
were about
fairly reasonable.
200 euros each or something, 400 for the pair,
Yeah, something
and
like
they're
that.
adequate. They're very good, and I know, but I mean, after having used them for 15 years, the clients, never have any objection to the quality. So even in this new setup, I'm really pleased. I put these LED lights around, which
Yeah,
are
cool.
nice and cute. Yeah, yeah, they just bought
That's
them and
pretty
put them
cool.
up, and the only thing I want to and I did have a towel, as you mentioned before, David, on the table just for reflections. But what happened was I'm using a MacBook Air M2, but because of the heat question, it got really hot, my
Mm.
MacBook, and slowed down. So I removed the towel, and now
Mm.
I've just got a bare little table over here, which comes with the voiceover with the booth. But I'm not
What you
sure. I
might
think
want to what you might want to look into, I can't show it to you because it's upstairs, but they make these little stands that are you can angle them any which way you like, and I have got my MacBook Air on one of those flexible thingies. It's very well
right,
made, metal, about 40 euros.
right.
And that way, that's for that very reason to keep the heat, you
Yeah,
know.
I'll just show you something really cute. This is my father-in-law bought this for my wife many, many years ago, and it's this sort of stand. Can you see this stand? It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
so
Yeah. Oh,
primitive
wow.
and basic, and it's got this USB little fan in the middle, and you can just plug it in, and the fan whirls around. I don't have
Okay.
the fan on, but it keeps that distance from the table, so
Yeah.
the MacBook is not flush on the wooden
Mm.
table, so it keeps it a degree cooler. But I'm toying with the idea because, as I said, this is a new setup. I'm toying with the idea of getting a Mac Mini, having it outside, and then having a proper monitor over here with the Yellow Tech. Studio Bricks have the Yellow Tech brand, Mica brand of
Mm.
of microphone holders, which are
Mhm.
really great, but they're incredibly expensive. About
Yeah.
five
Oof.
hundred bucks for this stand, which is screwed on the wall. But I can see the logic because there's not much place for. I've got this boom, this mic stand over here, which is not very. This one over here, it's not very practical because it doesn't get the right angle. So it's a clamp-on one, but it doesn't do the trick. You need to have something on the wall in front of you that's screwed on, and then you can sort of, maneuver. And there's some which have two microphone stands as well, so you can have a dual microphone. But as I said, they're about $500, and then some come with a VSA monitor stand as well, so you can have a monitor, two microphones, and then shuffle them around. They must be great quality because they're ridiculously expensive.
For anyone, interested, if anyone is interested in those, through some of the previous home studio show and tells, quite a number of people have those. So if you kind of scroll through our past episodes, look for people who have a Studio Bricks booth, and you'll see those.
Yeah,
I never knew they're so expensive. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're crazy. I mean, I think for $1,000 you can have a configuration that gives you a monitor stand, two microphone stands and whatever, but the quality must be excellent. And yet I've seen some reviews of people who are not very happy with it. So I'm not really sure whether to go for it. Right now, this setup seems to be working relatively well.
I'm surprised you don't have one, because my booth, and I think as far as I know, the booths that Guillermo delivers they always have a mic.
Those are Guillermo's VO edition Studio Bricks come with those, and you pay another $1,000 for it. So I got one, and unfortunately, where my studio is, it's kind of a funny story. I was going to have this in my daughter's bedroom. So when she, they've flown the nest many years ago. So we were really happy. Yes, this bedroom is free. You can put the Studio Bricks in there. You can have your editing suite out there, and it'll be your room. Of course, when the thing is on its way, I do the final measurements, and it didn't fit the room because it had a slanting roof, and it was just small by about 5 or 7 centimeters, and I'd had to dig deep down in the ground to do it, or chip away the ceiling. And in the end, we said, you know what, we just leave it put in the living room. So it's this sort of space capsule in the middle of the living room.
Oh my God.
My wife is wonderful, and she said, no, just put it there. Don't worry about it. So, I share the television, the sofa with my studio, but it's fine. It's okay.
Oh, wow.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles.
So we have 2 minutes. I have one quick question for both of you. I'd like you to tell everyone, if you don't mind, where can we hear you? Or even more interestingly, what kind of work do you do? Bernard, what is your wheelhouse? What kind of work do you get hired for?
Since ever, I basically got pigeonholed into doing narration, corporate narration, anything. I've done image films. I've done image film for Caterpillar, for Harley Davidson. I've got e-learning stuff for American Express. You name it, that's my kind of thing. I'm trying to get into that same niche in Germany with German clients now too, but most of my clients for this type of work are American, Canadian, Chinese, non-European, basically.
Are they asking you to narrate scripts in English or in German?
Mostly it's German, sometimes it's bilingual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Ramesh, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing I suppose after AI came in, and luckily, a lot of the bottom of the barrel stuff was just like farmed out to machines. The type of work I'm getting now is stuff which is really bespoke, where they want me. They come to me, it's like, what's your price? This is the script. And it's more acting work. And that's the stuff that I love. The corporates are the bread and butter, of course. But after you've done, this is the best enterprise in the world because we are leading edge technology for whatever, you've done those, too many times. So I'm doing a lot of podcasts now where I have to act, and they usually want me for my accents. So I do a lot of work in Indian accents. I do work in Spanish accents. So I've just done a radio drama, which is now being aired. I was this British Asian doctor in the 1930s living in England who murders his wife and murders the nanny. And it's a really thrilling. Is Yardley Smith, I believe, this sort of, I don't know if you heard of her, she does some voices. So she's got this podcast going. And that's fascinating. So I do animation, I do accent work. And that for me is thrilling. That for me is acting, and I can really
see where they want
myself.
you for your accent. Yeah.
But that's when I put on the Indian accent. It depends what exactly the client wants. But it's that accent or there are times when they want you to speak English with a Spanish accent. For some reason, there is also a market for that. So it depends what the client wants. But because I've fulfilled these little niche things, I'm getting hired for that type of work. So
Very
that's a lot
cool.
of fun.
I'd love to get into game stuff, game voices. I've done some, but and it was a lot of fun, but I haven't done much at all.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
I'm
I've just
responding
been
to someone's
recruited.
chat. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I've just also been recruited by this agency to do some on-screen
Okay.
work. So maybe there's something in the pipeline there for a series.
Nice.
So if it works out, it may not. But yeah, so exciting
Nice.
stuff lies ahead.
Apologies. I just sent the text to Lisa, but I meant to send it to Neymar. Neymar, I just answered you. This is, I think everyone knows this. Anyone who's watched the show before knows I love the show. I think it is so much fun to get to know you guys better, to see your studios. Um, Everyone should know that these gentlemen are volunteering their time to show you their studios, to kind of walk you through things. Um, and it's great seeing you. It's great seeing your studios, as I mentioned. Thank you so much, guys, and for staying up so late. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this Sunday
You're
for a long
most
time now.
welcome. It's fun, and
Yeah,
if anybody has any questions, just holler at me.
absolutely. I love helping. I've got so much from my voiceover colleagues. If anybody has any question, studio related or whatever related to today, feel free to reach out. It's rameshmahtani.com, and I'll be very, very happy to help or assist in whatever way I can. And
Yeah.
thank you, David, for inviting us to your wonderful show.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, that was
Everyone
really
else,
cool.
thank you
I
so much.
enjoyed
Listen,
it.
if you guys want to download the chat, now is the time. At the top of the chat, there are three small buttons, three little dots like an ellipsis. Click that and you can save the chat. Once this meeting ends, that chat is gone. The video will be posted on our website in a few days, so you can always come
Where
back and
did you
watch.
say that is?
Yeah, in fact, Bernard, I was going to mention this for Cooper also, because I don't know if everyone
Oh,
knows that
there
on
it is.
Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah, at the top, yeah, three little buttons, like a horizontal, like an ellipsis.
Say,
Okay,
Hey,
wonderful, guys.
Oh, well, yeah, I saw that, David. What I do is I make the link available to the recording, and it provides the video, the chat as a text,
Yeah,
and
sure.
two other things. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Well, everyone, I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
thank
Ramesh and Bernard, thank you again.
thank you. It was
It's our
fun.
pleasure.
I
Thank you so
really
much,
enjoyed
David.
it. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
everyone, thank you.
Have a
This has
wonderful
been,
Sunday.
anyway, we will be back next month. We are on the second Sunday of every
Mhm.
month at 7 p.m. Guys,
Okay,
I wish you a great
and
night.
you'll be on my show coming
Yeah,
September the 5th, I think.
either first Monday of the month, right? September 5th?
No, first Thursday.
First Thursday. Oh, okay.
Right.
Terrific.
Okay.
Guys, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
you. Good
Thank you very
night.
much.
Good
Good night.
night.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.